Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is George Uman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about the second season of Oshi because the first episode just dropped today. And all I gotta say is that I thought that this week's episode was fantastic and a great way to start off the new season for Oshi, which is a series that are very much so like last year when it came out. You know, it exploded in popularity, and I thought it was great overall. And I'm very excited to once again watch it on a weekly basis, and I can't wait to see, you know, what's in store because I'm not a manga reader, so this is all brand new to me. And from this first episode, I thought it was a fantastic way to get us once again hyped for this show. Now, before I go any further with this week's episode, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my anime and manga, as well as all my Oshinoko content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So this week's episode starts off pretty much, I was not a fan right off the get-go. I know, so hear me out though. So my biggest pet peeve of this episode is like the first 3 minutes was just literally like us being introduced to like the cast of characters that the main cast is gonna play in this stage play, and it was like 3 minutes of just like, you know, character name, the name of the character, new character, name of the character, and it was like for 3 minutes straight I was like, oh my god, bro. And it was like very like small because it was like looked through, it was being seen, we were watching it as like a person in the audience point of view. But besides that, and also they changed the opening, it's no longer idle, not a shocker. Not the biggest fan of the opening, I didn't care for the song, but the animation's stellar, which is something that goes alongside with the anime as a whole too. The animation on the anime is, you know, it's just spectacular. I think it looks fantastic. But enough of that. So how this episode starts is we see pretty much Akane and, you know, Kana and Aqua, they're all rehearsing for the play, as well as we see Ruby visiting her mom's tombstone, you know, talking about how successful she's been ever since, you know, the Bikamachi revival, how they're getting more fans every single day, you know, through their videos, through their concerts that they go on, because they've done more shows, and everything's looking good for her. You know, she wants to make her mom proud. And we'll also see how, like I said, Akane, Kana, and Aqua, they're, you know, participating in this play. They're all practicing, and the reason that we know that Aqua wants to be in this play is because he wants to find out about Ai, and he's trying to do that through the director. He wants to get in cahoots with the director in good terms so he can learn about like what might happen with Ai and all that, because he knows that the director was in good terms with Ai and he had worked with her in the past. And you know, this setting up the plot. And the interesting thing about this play is that we see you know, Kana just acting, and you know, she's acting with this random guy, and at first glance this guy comes up and I'm thinking like, oh, this guy looks kind of like, oh, kind of questionable, bro. This looks kind of sketchy. I mean, look like a Discord mod. But in all seriousness, this guy was a terrific actor, so much that Kana gets like, you know, shocked by it. She's like, whoa. And she actually, like, because the point is they were acting back and forward, and Kana was kind of like being a little stiffer, but then the guy kind of loosens her up and kind of immerses her in the world, which I like how they interpreted that scene in the anime, where we see that pretty much the color splashes everywhere, signifying that, you know, they're getting into the role. You know, they're literally drawing them. They're taking part in into the character. They're driving themselves to become those characters. And you see Kana having more fun and back and forward, and they're really getting into it. And eventually, you know, the guy's like, hey, you did a great job, good job. You want to get something to eat? He's like, yeah, sure. And you see just how Kana's having so much fun. In the contrary, we see Akane just like stressing over everything. And we do know that Akane has always been a very stressful kind of performer. You know, she's always trying to do her best, but that means that, you know, she's always her worst enemy as well, her worst critic. And while that's happening, we see pretty much Aqua just telling like Akane like, hey, calm down, like everything should be fine, just focus on doing you should be great. And you know, you see Akane like, okay, I'll do my best, I guess. But then you see Aqua, you know, staring at Kana, and you see pretty much like, why are you staring at her so much, bro? Like Akane kind of gets frustrated by it. It's like, she doesn't say it like that, but she's like, well, yeah, I know you've been looking at Kana a lot. It's like, yeah, she's terrific. Like, she's so great. And it's like, also, if you don't, you know, like, if you're trying to do a head-on competition with her, you're gonna, like, crash and burn. Like, you gotta do you. And, like, pretty much Akane gets, like, pissed off. She's like, hey, you're not supposed to speak to your girlfriend like that. And Aqua's just like, hey, man, I'm just telling you how it is. And you see, like, Akane with this very funny, very cute little pouty phase. You know, this is great. And it's also setting up, like, once again, the shipping wars. You know, is it Team Akane, Team Kana? there's a lot of dynamics, and I can't wait to see when the claws come out and the cat fighting begins, because my man Aqua has a little harem going on. But continuing from that, we see pretty much how throughout the episode we see Akane trying to just pretty much perfect her craft. She's trying to do her best in being the best performer she's capable of, but she's having a hard time finding ways to portray her character, which is like the love interest, the princess. And she goes on about how this character kind of got the short end of the stick because she was kind of stoic and very like whatever, one-dimensional. And what ended up happening is like the best friend character, like the comic relief kind of character, she became like the real love interest towards the end. So the princess kind of got the short end of the stick, and that's what she's afraid of, because she's like, oh man, this character has like no development. Like he kind of like the mangaka kind of gave up on it. And she's trying to figure out like what the personality is of this character, because she's a stoic, very like generic kind of character, but she's trying to put her own spin to it. And even when she's portraying the character, she is having a hard time doing so, because the director's like, okay, simplify, like, because she's trying to give the character some depth, but the director is like, no, don't do that, like just be a very generic character. And Akane is like, man, this is hard, because this is reminding me when I had to, when I was pretending to be I. And we saw the one scene in first season when she's trying to like learn how to be I, just so she can be as good as I. And we see pretty much how she's having this mental conflict where she's like, man, like this sucks. Why did the mangaka do my character so dirty? Because now I got to deal with the consequences. So that was a great little fun banter, and it really showcased, like I said, Akane's motivation in becoming better. Like she's always trying to her hardest to be the best that she can as a performer, and this week's episode really solidified that. I thought it was a great way to start the season, because we do know that she has a very high stage play kind of category, what's the word I'm looking for, resume, there you go. She has a very high like resume when it comes to like stage plays, because she's a stage actor at heart. And what ends up happening is we see that she's very like conflicted by it. She's very like she's bothered by this so much that she's talking to Aqua about it, and then Aqua's like, hey, maybe you should talk to the director. She's like, no way, actors complaining to the director, that's no good, like that's gonna cause drama. You never want to do that in the world, in the industry and the business and all that. And Aqua's like, okay, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. So then Aqua goes and proceeds to ask the director, like, hey, Akane has some questions for you. And then she's like, no, what are you doing? And the director's like, yeah, what is it, like, what's up? And the director's super nice guy. We see pretty much that Akane just tells her pretty much how she's feeling. He's like, hey, what's my character's direction? And like he's like, oh, you're a very simplistic character. And the reason he describes it this way, and the reason that he's telling Akane like, hey man, like there's nothing we can do about it, because the director starts breaking it down to Akane like, listen, there's only so much thing that a scriptwriter can do. And the thing is, every character has to have like their checks and balances. Like we have a lot of characters in this cast. Everybody has to be energetic, very fast, so the audience doesn't get bored. Because what happens is, if we have these long, drawn-out scenes with every character, the audience is gonna get very burned out and tired and bored by the whole thing. So we gotta simplify it and kind of like not be too deep about the whole situation. And once I kind of hears the breakdown, she's like, okay, I understand, like that's fine, that's respectable. And it was like the director even said like, the scriptwriter then talked to the director, and he was telling him like, we can change the script, we can write it a little better. And I kind of like, no, it's fine, I understand now, because she just wanted to reassurance of why her character was being dealt like that. And how we end the episode is we see pretty much the mangaka of the previous season, where we saw Kana portray her adaptation, brings over the mangaka of this stage play, the original source material, the Tokyo Blade or whatever it's called. We see that the mangaka is very shy, very timid, and eventually, she's looking at everybody doing their best at acting, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is fantastic! This is so good!" It's like, hey, excuse me, scriptwriter and director, is it too late to like make some rewrites? I was like, no, it's fine, we should be cool. It's like, okay, they're like, what would you like to rewrite? It's like the whole thing. So now you're like, whoa, what's gonna happen? Because now the scriptwriter gets the freedom to do whatever he wants, because the mangaka wants them to do so, I guess so. And that's how the episode ends. We end with like a big plot twist where now it's just every person for themselves. It's an all-out acting war, and I'm all in for it, because I think that this is what Oshinoko's at its best, when it's like with the drama and the tensions and all that. So I absolutely love this week's episode. But with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys thought it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Oshinoko, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.